Hey everyone, this is Abs. Welcome to DeFi Top Signal. You're joined here with my co-host Drake on Digital. What's up, Drake?
What's up, guys? Oh, actually, it's just me and you, Abs. But yeah,
Yeah, man. There's a lot of things to
dude.
talk about, man. Over the past, 2 days since we last spoke. Today is the 26th. This is a Sunday night. We just wanted to get together and kind of get our heads together with some of the news that came out and some of the metrics that we've seen. Drake, you can hit it off with the first topic, man. Let's get into it.
Yeah, dudes. So the very first thing I'm going to talk about is Joe. So, all right, this is where the story starts. So with Arbitrum and the Arbitrum airdrop, like I told you guys, what I was doing is selling half of it. And I wanted to LP with it because the volume on this and the fees were just nuts in hand. And I was looking at it and looking at the different pools, and I noticed Trader Joe was just zapping up a bunch of the trading volume, and I couldn't figure it out why. It just didn't make any sense. I was like, Trader Joe, that's just like a sushi swap, Uniswap V2 fork. Like, there ain't nothing over there. And stinking, if you look at the liquidity to volume ratio, you're like, bruh, what is going on there? At the Trader Joe V2, just right now, well, today, at the time of recording, this thing, the liquidity is 10 million. The 24-hour volume is 31 million. That's basically a 3x what the TVL is. Now, what that to me, that doesn't make any sense. Like, why would people be trading volume-wise with $10 million of liquidity on Trader Joe when they could simply go to something like Uniswap with $35 million in liquidity, but it only has 42 mil in volume? It's not even 3 times the amount. It's basically 1 time. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, what's going on? So I dropped a thread on this today, and here's the sauce on Uniswap, or well, not Uniswap. Here's the sauce on Trader Joe V2. If you understand what Uni V3 is, then this will make a little more sense. If not, the TLDR, Uni V3 offers concentrated liquidity. The difference between concentrated liquidity and standalone standard liquidity is that a Uniswap V2, which is standard liquidity, 50-50 pools, if I deposit $1,000 in TVL, my liquidity is going in the range between 0 to infinity. However, with concentrated liquidity like Uniswap V3, I can deposit in there and I get a NFT position that represents where my ranges are. So let's say I do it for a stablecoin, and I want to do it between 99 cents and $1.01. All of that liquidity I deposit, all that $1,000, it's going to be in one tight range of 99 cents to $1.01. I would show it so you guys can see it, but we're kind of on Discord, so you can't really see what that looks like. But check out the Twitter thread so you guys can understand what the Uni V3 portion looks like. Now, this is where Trader Joe takes it a step further. They do something with bins. So with Uniswap V3 in your concentrated liquidity, TLDR, Uni V3 is better than Uni V2 because concentrated liquidity gives exponentially better prices with lower slippage and better trading, like lower trading fees, whatever. Uni V3 is then taken a step further with these bins because the concentrated liquidity on Uniswap V3 is not composable. So the problem with Uni V3 is when you deposit into there, you have a VE-NFT position that is non-fungible. It's an NFT. And any other person who has their own NFT position, sure, they may have it close to your range, but if it's not in your exact range, it's not composable with each other. So it's technically horizontal liquidity. Whereas with Trader Joe, it does Trader Joe V2, it then makes the liquidity composable. To where with Uni V2, you can think of it like me providing liquidity with concentration, Abs, you providing liquidity with concentration, and someone else. Think of it like 3 different dexes. But with Trader Joe V2, if we all provide liquidity, it's like we're all putting it on one dex. So TLDR, the difference between Trader Joe V2 and Uniswap V3 is that Trader Joe is like providing all of your liquidity on one DEX. Uniswap V3 is like putting it on 3 different DEXs, just depending on how the ranges are, obviously. And that's why it was grabbing most of the volume. Sure, the audio format of understanding this or listening to this may not make any sense at all, but when you see the Twitter thread, you will understand the difference between it. Maybe we can do a quick screen share. I don't know, probably not. Abs, if that's something you know how to do, I just sent you over a picture of the difference between Uniswap V3 and LB liquidity, which is basically liquidity bins, which Trader Joe offers these bins. So instead of saying, hey, look, I want 0 to 1,000 for my liquidity range, and someone else says 0 to 999, Trader Joe specifically makes it into different bins based on different bips. They allow you to go really, really incremental and really, really small, but it's able to be composable because if I want to provide liquidity in this tight range, I have to put it in a range where it matches that bin. So it's organized, concentrated liquidity.
Yeah, let me ask you this. So concentrated liquidity has also been, implemented in many others, like dApps that are around different ecosystems, right? Like this is like one of the newer types of updates, but just a little question here. So is there a certain APR that's if you decide to say, hey, let me choose this tranche or this tranche, if it's higher, right? If this LP is higher or the price range is, so let's just say the price of AVAX, if it goes from like $17 at this point to $20, and that's the concentrated area that I want, how much APR do you think would it be from? Okay, well, that's sitting at the current price, right, of where AVAX is.
There's like let me you go ahead and talk. I'll pull up the flip side of
Yeah,
crypto.
sure.
Keep asking.
Yeah. It's that. I'm just wondering if the variation of the APRs. That's kind of because I did see this in a couple other types of dApps that are out there that actually do the concentrated liquidity. It's very interesting, and I see the attractiveness, right? Because it's basically allowing you to earn a little bit more money, a little bit more percentage, a little bit more juice, right? So yes, I just wanted to know that, and I'm sure that I know my answer, but I want to make sure that the folks listening would hear it from you.
Yeah, so it's actually exponentially better the tighter the ranges you get. They have a really cool tool from the Flipside Crypto for the Uni V3 calculator. I'm trying to pull this up, but my internet is just atrocious. So it's going to take some time to get this up. But the TLDR of how this translates into Joe is that if they're able to amass a little more liquidity, or at least a significant amount or a meaningful amount of TVL, they're going to be able to capture some of this volume from Uniswap V3. This is the reason why a lot of the solidly forks, and this is why I'm pretty adamant about this, if there's a Uniswap competitor or Uniswap on that chain, it's going to be an extreme challenge for them to actually compete, and they either have to focus on the long tail assets or completely drop their fees to steal a meaningful amount of volume, because that's what runs their DEX. And Trader Joe is able to do this because they take it a step further, being able to, it's basically now puts the situation of Uniswap V3 is now like the solidly fork compared to Trader Joe. Of course, it's not the same exact comparison because the fees aren't that much different, but in my Twitter thread, I gave an example of this to see the actual power of Trader Joe V2 in action. So if you look at the Grail ETH pool, the liquidity for that pool is $22,000. If I swap half an ETH to some Grail, I'm going to get 0.289819 Grail. Okay? Now, remember those numbers. Try to do it as best you can. 0.289819. On Uniswap, it has more than 10 times the liquidity. It has $370,000 in TVL compared to $22,000. Trader Joe V2 gives better prices. it gives you more Grail for the swap of your ETH. So if you go on Uniswap, if I swap half an ETH to Grail, I'm going to get 0.28974. How much did I get on Trader Joe? 0.28981. It's not a lot, but the Trader Joe liquidity is more than 10 times less. It's $22,000 in liquidity, and I'm making a swap of half an ETH, which is about $800, which is about 5% of the liquidity. Surely there should be some slippage there. But hey, that's the tech of concentrated liquidity taken even further with the bins. So let's go and give you an example of concentrated liquidity just for Uniswap v3, so you guys can understand the the power of Uni v3. We're just going to do this at a 1% fee for USDC and wrapped ETH. If I go the liquidity price range from 0 to, I just put a bunch of numbers. I don't even know what it's like, I don't know, what, a trillion or something like that. The APR on this, the estimated ROI on this is yearly APR is 3.89%. So now let's do this range to where we're at the price of ETH. So let's do this range. Let's say I'm depositing $1,000. So on $1,000, I would make $38 if I do 0 to technically infinity. Now let's say I do it from $1,750, which ETH is like 1776 right now, to $1,800. My APR goes from 3% to 538%. I mean, that's the power. So instead, my deposit amount is $1,000. I would now earn $5,381 for a year, as compared to if it was just infinite, which was like $38. I now earn $5,000 or $5,300 instead of $38. Now let's see if we concentrate it even further into 1780 and 1765. We're now earning $16,000 instead of $5,000. Now, bear in mind, this is a very, very, very tight range. This is literally a $15 range on ETH, so the impermanent loss is going to be significant. And that is a risk you can take on, and you have to understand the risks when you're providing liquidity in these ranges. But that is the power of concentrated liquidity. My $1,000, as long as ETH doesn't move anywhere in price, which is not going to happen, I'm just telling you this now. This is just an example so you can understand the power of concentrated liquidity. At current swap rates and swap prices for USDC and ETH, if I deposit $1,000 in that pool between a range of 1765 and 1780 with an ETH price of 1776, I can earn $16,770 a year. Compared to if I did 0 to theoretically infinity, $38. So 3% APR to, what was the APR? 1760, 1780, 12,000%. No, actually it was 15,000%. But whatever, or 1,500%.
I have a question.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, for me it does make sense. I just have a question though when it comes to this. So what's the downside of all of this?
So the downside is just like you see impermanent loss with a 50-50 pair, and you're like, oh man, this token's going down and down and down. And as it steadily trends to 0, you theoretically, so say for example, you have ETH and let's say, I don't know, Banana Coin. Now Banana Coin's trading at 10 cents. As it gets closer and closer to 0, your ETH is being rebalanced into Banana Coin. So if Banana Coin technically goes to 0, you're just going to have a bunch of Banana Coins and 0 ETH. So with concentrated liquidity, that is now made more significant. So if my liquidity price range is 1760 on Banana Coin and 1780, if it goes to 1760, that whole entire pool is going to be Banana Coin and 0 ETH. But if it goes to 1780, it's going to be all ETH and no Banana Coin. And anything outside of those ranges, I won't earn any fees. So you have to keep that in mind when you're providing concentrated liquidity and understand what you're doing. There are automation, whatever you want to call it, automated. I can't even tongue twister, whatever. There are tools that help with this. There are ones that automatically do this, like Arrakis Finance. This helps on Optimism. They're on Ethereum. I believe they're on Arbitrum as well. But basically, they do liquidity V3 or Uniswap liquidity management. Uniswap V3 liquidity management. You also have Popsicle Finance, ICE, which is Daniel Sess does a little thing he likes. But yeah, it offers really good yields. In fact, it offers it for the Arbitrum ETH pair, offering like 3,100% because it does that concentrated liquidity and it manages it for you. So if it gets out of range, it'll rebalance it, or if it gets close to it, it'll rebalance it for you.
Yeah, so jumping in here, traderjoexyz.com, and you can just look at the Arbitrum, connect your wallet. You can definitely see Arbitrum to ETH pair. It says right here you can earn 222 APR percent. It's
Yeah,
nasty.
and that's APR, not APY, which
Exactly.
is nice.
So yeah, so and then you go further, right? And I think if you guys wanted to take a look at this further and kind of do your own due diligence, as you should, you can definitely click on that pair, and it goes you to another page, and it shows you choose liquidity shape. And this is
Yeah.
where I believe what you're talking about, right? So you can basically see what Drake is saying is that you can choose one of four, or I guess you can make your own price range, right?
Yeah, so with Trader Joe, they offer a lot of different tools. So just think Uniswap V3 is just like concentrated liquidity, whatever. It's basically for people who are what is the word? I guess you can call it sophisticated DeFi individuals, which I am not. So I mean, it's one of those things like they're able to offer these tools, but you have to be one of those gigabrains that know exactly how to concentrate your liquidity and know exactly where to place it. Whereas Trader Joe makes it easier for retail to understand. I'm retail, so I like that. It looks great and it makes a little bit of sense. If you guys want to understand it, try it with a little bit, receive some impermanent loss, and be like, bro, I did that wrong. Let me do that again and see what happens. Because when you're playing around with it, the APRs will look really, really good up front. But if their price moves out of range, you're going to suffer from impermanent loss. So you do have to understand that. It's best to try it with some stable coins. So when you do it with stable coins, you can get an extremely high yield. Now, it's not going to be high like ETH and USDC or Arbitrum and ETH. Instead, it'll be like double-digit APRs instead of triple or quadruple, or even quintuple, whatever cinquuple. I don't know. But with Trader Joe, they offer these different tools based on the strategies you want. So if you want a wider range, less impermanent loss, you can do that. If you want something that's spot, like preferably with stable coins, where you can maximize your liquidity and maximize your APRs in a tight range, you can do that with stables and more or less volatile pairs. Or if you're looking to be like, bruh, this stinking coin is trading at $1,800. It's overpriced. I think it's going to go to $1,500. All you got to do is throw in an LP pair and say, all right, I'm throwing in, price is going to be between $1,500 and $1,550. That way, as that price comes down, it's going to sell your ETH or USDC, whatever, into that other coin as it reaches that price range. Now, in order for you to realize that win, plus the fees that you're going to be earning, basically getting paid to buy the dip, you have to withdraw before it goes out of range again. So there's different strategies you can deploy with this, and the same thing with taking profits. Like if you're like, dude, this thing's $1,800. I think it'll go to $2,000, but when it goes to $2,200, I think it's going to dump. Place it like $22,000 to $2,100, whatever your price range, and as it sells into it, you're going to get paid to sell the rip. So getting paid to buy the dips and getting paid to sell the rips. There's just different strategies. It's cool.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that, man. It looks like going on this Trader Joe website. I actually haven't been on this website since I used to farm on AVAX. I farmed on
I remember
AVAX.
those days, man.
Yeah, I remember them too, but it was also like 2 to 3 weeks worth. I was unimpressed. I'm sorry, AVAX, if you're listening, and the folks that love the chain. The last time I've been on this website, Yes, I was initially farming Pangolin, right? Pangolin was the Uniswap version, one of those OG ones on on the
I
what is it, a
remember,
year and a
dude.
yeah, Pangolin was one of them. It was like I can't even say. There's a bunch of them, right? So Trader Joe came out and everyone was all like raving about it. So I used their Zap function when they had that option there, and I haven't been on the website since. When I moved all my money off Avex, I never went back. And here we go. I'm very happy that they decided to go multi-chain. Obviously, they saw the opportunity and the magnitude of the liquidity that was on Arbitrum. Kudos to them. The website haven't been on it till tonight, right? As you're
Dude, the
talking about it,
TVL on V2 is popping.
it looks
Popping, dude.
awesome. This
Popping.
Dex looks amazing. Like it looks pleasing. It looks there's a bridging function that you can bridge off AVAX. You can bridge off of BSC because I'm not a big fan of BSC as well because it's filled with scams in my opinion. But this is looks really good. The farms look pretty amazing. And just looking at the Arb and ETH, that's the only one that I'm actually kind of looking at right now. That just looks pretty interesting. It looks really interesting. The numbers in terms of the metrics that's provided by Dune Analytics looks awesome. The numbers look amazing. You said V2, the numbers are popping.
Yeah,
Our
I mean, it's stinking up. What is it? It was doing average between March, but like since March 21st, it basically went from 36 mil to 54. I see it keep going up. But remember, guys, as a disclaimer, this is not financial advice. We are DeFi Top Signal. This is Top Signal. I'm not telling anyone to buy the Joe token. In fact, I think it's really good technology. I would rather you just use the LP pairs and use it to your advantage and swap with it. And as for the Trader Joe token itself, it's not earning any fees from this right now. That upgrade comes in about 2 weeks or a week and a half. So I mean, I'm mainly just talking about this like it could be a buy the rumor, sell the fact type of thing. Do I hold Joe? Yeah, I hold some Joe, but I mean, this technology, it's sauce. I like it.
it's pretty
I'm a
good.
stats guy, and it's got good stats.
Yeah, it looks really sleek. I have to commend the team behind this. It looks really, really good. I
Yeah,
really
that's
like this.
crypto fish.
You were talking about the concentrated liquidity. I'm going back to this again. Looking at the choose liquidity shape, and it's really interesting because the first one is spot, which is what you're talking about. You choose a range, whether it's $1 to like $2, and that's as simple as that, right? And then there's a curve one where it looks like an arrow where it just starts in the middle as the highest point, and then on the left and the right side, it just kind of goes down. And then the opposite is the bid ask, right? And then that's the opposite of what I just said, curve. And the last one is the wide. And I think the wide is just like, is that just a normal LP farming? Is that what it is? Because it looks
The
like a wide
wide,
range.
the wide's not normal LP farming. It's concentrated liquidity, but with less impermanent loss. But it's into
Ah,
bins, so you get separate bins. So, like, let's say for example, you have $1,000. You'll see this on chain too. It'll literally separate it into like, let's say I select 20 different bins, and in between that bin, it's going to be a price range of, let's say it's AVAX. It's going to be the price range between 1750 and 1775. It's going to place inside that bin a certain amount. So if I'm placing into 20 bins and I'm depositing $1,000, it's going to put $50 into each of those bins. And then those bins could be like 20 different bins between the price range of $17 and $20. So it could be
mm,
like 1710, 1720, 1730, 1740, and you can make them even tinier. So they can be even smaller bins. But all these bins are composable. So that's the difference between Uni V3, whereas it just takes it like a concentrated liquidity NFT, whatever this is in the range. And with Trader Joe, it's like, okay, I'm putting some in this bin. You put it in, it throws some of yours into a bin. Whereas if we both did concentrated liquidity and did separate ranges or ranges that weren't exactly matched, our liquidity is still not going to be stacked on each other. It's going to be horizontal. So it's almost like swapping or having liquidity on 3 different dexes or 2 different
mm.
dexes because it's me and you.
Man, you went deep into this. This is awesome stuff.
Yeah, I kind of went too deep. You know what they say? The
What
only
did they say?
people who lose in the markets are the guys who don't know enough or don't know anything and know too much.
What about the folks at HODL? What about them, Drake?
They know just enough and they do well.
They do.
And I'm not one of them.
The
Um, I'm,
degens.
I'm on both sides of the spectrum. I either know nothing about something or I go too much into it and I get wrecked.
And that's completely fair. I mean, we all started as hodlers, right? And once we get to this point, you guys will become to become degens where we are. Once you guys have several years into this and you start dipping your toes into DeFi, and as soon as you do that, you'll then see, oh, what is poop coin, and then you throw in $100 into that or $10, and you come out with $1,000 or $2,000, and you're like, wait, so what's going on here? And then you do more of that, and then you lose your bag. That's what typically happens, right? You make it lucky, you make it rich on one play, and then the next one, it's not good.
And then even when you have a strategy, it doesn't always work out. I wanted to talk about this one too when you were talking about Trader Joe and Avalanche. I
Yep,
was the guy. I bought Joe at 15 cents before it made its run up to $3 and something.
I remember
I
that.
was the guy who took Joe and I paired it with AVAX and I threw it in the farm. And instead of turning 5 grand into what is that? 5 times that's more than a 10x.
This is dangerous, dude. This is dangerous. If you go
That,
back
that
and
was
look at
a
your numbers,
30x. I could have turned 5 into 150, but instead I turned 5 into like 20 because impermanent loss. That's the power of impermanent loss, guys.
it's very powerful. You guys have to learn that. Impermanent loss, we'll talk about another time if need be. Um, I do want to talk about AVAX really, really quickly before we move on to the next. So AVAX, did you hear about this morning? Did you get any news in your crypto Twitter feed about AVAX C chain stopped producing blocks? Did you hear about this?
I'm here now.
Yeah, so that's really all that I know. So this was actually sent out by DGen News. I'm sure you follow them as well, but they posted literally a screenshot of just AVAX not producing anything that's on chain. Literally, there was the issue was rectified after a full hour, but something's up.
So the chain just paused or what?
It paused for a whole hour. It kind of it's a red flag to me because whenever a chain pauses, cough cough, Solana, whenever that pauses, it's like okay, well that signals that the chain is not actually fully decentralized, right? The chain should be running at all times around the clock. There shouldn't be any type of delay or pause in a network.
I think there was I think you were still able to get transactions through. There was one time with Phantom they had a sequencer issue, but it didn't last long. Other than that, it would be super high gas fees. So like you could still transact on the chain, you just had to be willing to pay up for it. Same thing with ETH.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be interesting about AVAX. Was it like you couldn't even process anything through no matter how high the gas fees were?
Yeah, I would check it out though. There's a Twitter post that's from DGen News, and you should probably check that out because that's all that I know. They provided a source, they provided a screenshot from
Yeah, drop
Scope.
that link to me. I'll check that out.
Yeah, I will. So yeah, when Joe came out, literally everything just kind of paused right around it on AVAX. Joe was it. Joe was the farm to farm. Uh, and I had to do that, right? I don't think I threw in $5,000. I think at that point I only had like 1,000 on chain because I was about
Dude,
to
it
send it
was
off.
just Luna. It was just Luna profits. But like,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
bag held the Luna profits, man, and wrote them to zero. I told you about that Thorchain
you
pool.
did, you did, you did. Which is unfortunate, but obviously we're gonna be here and we are degen, so that's it happens to all of us. And yeah, I mean that's the only reason why I bridged off of AVAX because the only thing that was worth buying was Joe, but then it was kind of lackluster after like 2 weeks. I was like, I'm good. I think I'm good. I see an opportunity over in Phantom, and that's when I fell in love with Phantom.
Dude, Phantom's a G. I love
Well,
Phantom.
Well, initially when I bridged money over, it was actually still clunky, right? It was still early phase of Phantom, and the websites were still like kind of. I needed to refresh a couple of times. The RPC was kind of slow, but everything else, like in terms of transactions, everything was very, very, very cheap. Um, so I was happy on that regard, right? And I made a lot of money with Spirit Swap and Spooky Swap, and I think I've had a bag of with Brush as well. So Brush and like
Yeah,
big
you
up
can. Yeah, you
big up the
convinced me
Brush.
to double down on him, man.
Yeah, I mean, wait until the S4 Kingdoms come out on PaintSwap.
All you
I'm
had to
I'm
say
actually.
was it's like RuneScape, and I'm like, all right, man.
Funny thing is, I never played RuneScape.
What? No
I never,
way.
yeah, I'm sorry,
Oh,
man, but
you sent it to me, and I was like, this looks like RuneScape, and I was like, I'm in. That was the same thing with DeFi Kingdoms, man.
did you make the
Um,
snapshot of S4?
what is the snapshot?
The snapshot was, I think we talked about this on the second or third episode of DeFi Top Signal, and I said that there was a an announcement of this game that was coming out from PaintSwap. And do you remember where I mentioned that there's a forthcoming game, and there was supposed to be a snapshot for a whitelist for you to, mint a couple of these NFTs for free?
Is it a snapshot if you held paint?
If you no, it's a snapshot if you held certain types of NFT collections. So
Oh, I think I remember that. I saw that. I didn't hold any of those.
oh, okay. So yeah, we
Yeah,
saw some of those projects were actually a lot of money. In terms of Phantom, right? Like there was literally one collection that was sitting at 20 Phantom, right? And at
probably
that point,
Umans. Oh, 20 Phantom?
it was 20 Phantom, but then it
Probably got to
shot
be
up.
more.
It was shot up to 50
Oh,
when
wow.
this snapshot came out, and they said, okay, well, we want to, because everyone was basically looking at all the prices across the board for these like whitelist NFT collections. He said, okay, and the cheapest one was Portal Heads, and it was initially 20 Phantom at the floor, and it literally just shot up to like 40. I scooped two at 40, and I bought an extra one at 50. So I have three wallets that that I can mint two NFTs from each.
No
So I'm
kidding.
very excited about it. The graphics and the NFTs look insane. I just
Does
hope
the VE equal NFT count?
no, I don't. I don't think so. There's
Drop me a
actually a
link.
list.
Maybe I got lucky.
Yeah, so it's just really it's Bit Demons, American Gothic, Phantom Punks, Bot Boy, Trippy Steve Dow Cards, Magic Cats, Beardies, Beethoven X, Portal Heads, and Scullies. And
No
then
Umans?
no, I don't think that was actually.
Wow. Umans are like the punks of Phantom.
It's kind of crazy because if you scroll up on their announcements, this is PaintSwap.finance Discord. Scroll up a little bit off after that announcement. They have Equalizer basically saying, "Hey, last week we added Equalizer to the NFT marketplace." Um, so that surprises me a little bit that they didn't have any of these Equalizer NFTs.
Jeez.
Otherwise, I can't wait for this, right? And Brush is sitting at a penny and a half, basically. Very, very cheap in my opinion. I have some funds on the side waiting for this market run up, which I am expecting for BTC to potentially break out sometime this week. I hope so.
Yeah, probably.
I'm a
I
chart
think
guy,
it's
but
gonna break out down.
oh, you're
I'm
gonna
just
see it
kidding.
break down.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea. I have no idea, dude. No
Yeah,
idea,
yeah.
man.
So let's talk about ARB. I'm actually interested in talking about the price action really quick with ARB. So these ARB tokens came out after the big exciting ARB airdrop last week. Everyone was very 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 nice in terms of like they received a nice little bag of ARB, and we became a little bit richer, right? But that also translated for folks to do more degen stuff, right? To invest in other projects, and so here we are. So after that episode we recorded, I sold my whole bag, right? I made an ETH and some change, almost two, and I was just looking at the price action, and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm gonna make some moves. So I used my ARB airdrop with a mixture of other funds, and I eventually bought myself a CryptoPunk V1. And this was an episode that I talked about prior. I think it was prior to this one, and I said that the V1s have Like they are the OG CryptoPunk in all of NFTs, right? This is number one. This is history. So I am taking this bet. It was a little bit expensive.
Oh, you popped it up on your Twitter.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It's going to be one of my. I wouldn't say that it's going to be my forever punk, but it's going to be a long time punk. Um, I think that the V1s are going to be pretty massive because if you look on the blockchain, they are immutable and they are the very first in the code. They are the very first NFT collection that's ever put on ETH. So I think I'm buying history. I think this is going to be, it was a nice little, entry point. It was like 4.5 ETH. So I bought one. I'm securing it for many years. I hope so. And I do have a price, right? Because everyone has a price for when they want to sell eventually. But obviously, the floor price is now a little bit under 5 ETH. So I'm in the green. It's nice. It's nice to be in the green for once with NFTs. But thank you, Arb. But I did take some more money on the side, and I rebought back into Arb because I do see. I don't know. I read more on Arb over the weekend, and I think that Arb is really it should be more than where it is right now.
Where
So I
can I
do
get
see.
some of that Kool-Aid? It's a joke. It's a joke. Yeah, I got some Arb. I got some Arb too.
Yeah.
I like Arb. I threw some in that LP, like I was saying, and it pays really well, man. I threw a little bit in the Trader Joe LP. It went in and out of range from time to time, but on a 3 grand, it paid like $140 in a matter of 2 days. So fees are not
Okay.
bad, dude.
So let me ask you your opinion on this, right? So would you have, if I had a side of money with some ARB and all that, would you throw it into the Trader Joe pool that's paying out what we discussed, or would you go into Camelot, which is I forget where it's at right now? Is it at 400 or 300% APR?
Yeah, but it's paid in the Grail token, so you're
Are you
getting
not
paid in
bullish on
X.
Grail?
I'm bullish on Grail. I actually bought a little more today. I've always been waiting to. I was the guy who saw it at 200-300 bucks and saw it right up to $1,000, $1,200, and I was like, "This is trash. I'm not touching it." I missed it. I should have bought it and kept riding and riding. And I was like, "I'll just wait till it comes back," and it never came back.
So
So I
what
was
would you do
like,
in my situation then? What would you do for all the folks out there that have loose leaf money that are bullish with ARB? What should they do with that cash in terms of,
so
based
what
on
I
what the
did
rates
with
are?
my ARB, I had my situation is entirely different because I got a large allocation of ARB and I still have some ARB. I took some of the ARB and I went on Popsicle Finance. I don't think the liquidity is available because they cap it off, and I threw some ARB into the concentrated liquidity pair for ETH and Grail, and I also did it for ETH and ARB, and I also threw some on Trader Joe, and I also bought some spot Grail with some of the ARB, and then of course I just bought plain old Joe. But yeah, I mean, my situation is entirely different. Uh, like, I have funds allocated on other chains. Like,
Mhm.
just listening to what someone does doesn't mean this is something you should do. That's like me saying, yeah, you should buy $1,000 of Bitcoin. If all you have is $1,000, that's the dumbest thing you should ever do is use all your money on Bitcoin. Never do that.
Mhm.
You always have some capital on the side and manage your risk accordingly. Everyone's situation is going to be different. But yeah, that's what I did. I diversified with it and I spread it across different pools because I understand Trader Joe has that impermanent loss risk, but I'm fine holding ETH and I'm fine holding ARB. So I don't care which one I get. I'm fine with that and I'm fine with the fees going through that. And Popsicle Finance, I threw a little bit on there. It's going to be a liquidity management, so there's a chance that it can lose money if they have to buy, sell, and constantly have to change the ranges. So it's not good in volatile times, but concentrated liquidity is really good when it's not volatile. For me personally, looking at ARB and ETH, they seem to have found a less volatile price range, but there could be incoming volatility this week, depending on what Bitcoin and ETH do. But I see ARB as reflexive to ETH. So ETH goes down 10%, ARB probably goes down 15, 20%. ETH
Mhm.
goes up 10%, ARB probably goes up 15, maybe 20%.
So I'm not sure if you've seen this in the Arbitrum ecosystem, but Arbitrum Exchange. I dropped a link in our Discord here, but I wanted you to take a look at this.
Oh yeah,
It
I've seen it. That's
what is
just it's just a little farm. It's like a food farm, but
Okay,
with
so the TVL is something to kind of note because this is like the top 3 protocol that's actually
yep.
on ecosystem out of nowhere. I haven't seen this. Typically, I ignore anything outside of the top 10, but this one is 141 TVL
Yep.
million.
141 mil. So how this works is it's like a let's just call it what it is, a sophisticated, actually this one's not even sophisticated. It's just a Ponzi. How this works is with the pairs, the fees you're earning is in ARX and ETH. So let's take, for example, the very first one. Let me go and connect the wallet so I can give you guys the breakdown. For the ETH USDC, this is paying you an APR of 27%. The details on the APR is 27% is being paid in ARX, zero swap fees. So it's all being paid in ARX. That means there's no volume, there's people just buying this. Now, if you look in the ARX USDC pool, ARX is the yield farming token, they're paying out 1500%. Now, between me and you, if you see 1500% or you see 27%, which one do you want? Most
Give me
people will select the 1500%, the
yeah.
ARX USDC. And what they're doing is when they buy that coin, that causes the price of the coin to go up. When the price of the coin goes up, the APRs go up. Now, when you're taking this coin that you just bought, providing liquidity, as there's less people that buy into and buy the ARX token, because eventually you reach a tipping point. Like right now, it's 141 mil, which in my opinion is pretty high on Arbitrum. That's more than Camelot. That's more than Trader Joe. That's a lot of liquidity on there, and it has almost 10% of the liquidity on Arbitrum. If it hits 200 mil, obviously, then it'll have 10%. Do I see a single farm having 10% of the liquidity on Arbitrum sustainable? Probably not. You have to look at these things like a Ponzi, to where when people are going into these farms, if they're not buying that ARX token to juice and prop up the APRs, there's not going to be more people getting in and buying the token. If there's not going to be more people buying in and getting the token, APRs go down, people withdraw, the LP, liquidity goes down. When liquidity goes down, APRs go down, people keep withdrawing, death spiral, and goes to zero.
Sounds like a bank run to me.
Dude, Trader Joe is popping off.
It is. It
It
is.
went from 43 to 55 or 58. People must be listening to this. Oh man, the tweet I made went like semi-viral. Cool.
I love it. Yeah, the top price for Joe tonight was 55.5 cents. Very,
Yeah,
very
it's
solid
probably
stuff.
gonna dump. Yeah, don't buy tops. Wait for it to come back. A good tool to use is the 200-day moving average. I don't do chart TA, but I use it as like a, hey, this is probably getting towards the bottom. You use a 4 hour. Correct me if this is wrong. I look at the 4 hour and I look and wait till it gets close or at the 200-day moving average.
Yeah, I don't normally add moving averages to my normal TA, which
Gotcha.
might be a mistake. But I normally do a lot of the traditional, some of the oscillators like the stock RSI, the regular RSI, mainly the Lux one, and then I use a lot of like the market ciphers and stuff. Um, but but yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
that's
I
too much for me. You lost me.
yeah, I mean, it looks like that 45, 44 cent area was just easy, right? It was just money. As soon as it broke that and held, it's off to the moon. Who knows where it's going to go now? Actually, there is price action that you could do TA on this, but I did see. So I remember when you said that Joe went up to $3. That I saw that too, and I think I wrote it from $1.50 to like $2 or 2.50 around there.
Attaboy.
I made some money, right? But I,
Attaboy.
I just kind of left the chain just kind of blah. I was uninterested
Oh,
really.
the sequencer issue was back then, not now.
No, Yeah, I don't know what happened now. I don't know if there was like a post-mortem.
Oh, I thought you were saying this just happened. I was like,
No, this did. Yeah, this morning. This morning,
oh, it happened again on Avalanche.
yes.
A second time?
Mm-hmm. Let me.
Broski.
Yeah, it's not. It's not good. It's not
One
good.
is
And it
okay,
that and
maybe. Not
that
really.
ecosystem has only like 800. Where when it popped off, and I think that's when you and I were in this at the same exact time. It was around December 2nd,
I
2021,
mean,
and
we
now
also had Suzu pumping the bags. I mean,
oh
yeah, remember him? He was
yeah,
the AVAX maxi. He was like, Suzu bull cycle. I'm gonna borrow USDC against my AVAX, buy more AVAX, and borrow more USDC and buy more AVAX and loop the mess out of it and hope nothing bad happens.
and he's from 3AC, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that guy. That's why you don't hear him anymore because he's from 3AC.
legend, literally legend.
What's it like, right? Um, yeah, I mean, it was at a 12 billion TVL, right at the top, right? And now
Yeah.
we're sitting at 800 million in the TVL. It's I think people are smelling it, right? They're just like, oh, I'm not really interested in AVAX. The farms are sort of dried up. They heard the noise over on Arb and they just bridged over there, so it made sense.
Yeah, Arbitrum TVL is actually holding up pretty
Very well.
well. I think the
Yeah.
difference between Arbitrum and Optimism on the dump price action wise was that that's when the 3AC Luna blow up happened. So it'll be interesting to see how Arbitrum plays out. I still see it eventually getting to that point where that float, which is basically all the people that got a bunch of this airdrop, finding a new place to call home. What I would like to see now on Arbitrum is at least some more chains, or not more chains, but more pools pop up and more places for people to deposit it. Right now, there's not much you can do with ARB. There really isn't, besides just selling it. So, but I still like what's happening on Arbitrum. I like what they're doing, and I really see them as the, lack of a better term, prettiest pig in the pen. Like people were like, yeah, let's rotate to ZK swap, and I mean, I think I bought some like what was it, ZK Doge or something like that, and I was like, yeah, this is dumb. I bought some Zigzag, and I was like, yeah, this is also dumb. Um, I don't like this chain. There's nothing to do here, so I was in, out, and I'm done. I mean,
Yeah.
I did my airdrop tasks. Done. check off the list. Go ahead and drop your token. I don't see anything happening here right now. Maybe change my mind in a month, 2 months. But right now, the happening chains right now are Arbitrum, Optimism, Phantom, and we can talk about Kava later as well. But yeah,
And yeah, just going back to Arbitrum really quick with the airdrop, we're sitting at 86% tokens claimed. It's an interesting fact that we interviewed Lewis Cooper last time, and he was saying that he's not going to claim. He's not going to claim until down the road, and that's interesting to me
at
because
least do
what
something with it. Like at least
right.
farm it and claim or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, at least earn some yield off of it. But it's an interesting, play. I don't understand that. Where money's just there. Maybe he's just loaded. That guy's probably really loaded on chain, and he just doesn't care about this airdrop until you know it appreciates over a certain amount, and then he's gonna sit up and he's like, okay, maybe I should claim now and maybe cash this in.
Yeah, I wonder if there's probably going to be some wallets that don't even complain or won't even claim, not complain. Will be interesting to see what happens if the Arbitrum team does like a clawback similar to what Osmosis did. Some people who didn't claim the Ion or Osmo airdrop, whatever, was clawed back and given to the treasury.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
that.
know if they're going to do that, but there might be a governance proposal with all the other RV holders or ARB. Call
Yeah,
it
I don't
RV,
know.
man. Why ARB?
Yeah, I don't know if there's anything that people are talking about. I mean, you like you said. I mean, there's a time frame. Right? There's a time frame that you need to claim. If you don't, it goes back right to the treasury. And
Yeah,
I don't think there's anything that said anything about ARB having some type of um, you know claim time frame.
yeah.
But yeah, good. Thanks for addressing that Arbitrum exchange because it just popped out of nowhere. It has a TVL 141 million. the ARX token is at $11.25.
Send
Very
it.
sus. Very sus.
Send it. $20.
$20. Yeah. We're bottom signal.
Bottom signal. Bottom signal right there, baby.
But yeah, yeah, I mean, you want to go to
Yeah,
Avalanche or
let's
Optimus? Sorry.
no, you're good. Let's talk about Kava. Just a little bit on Kava. So people have been asking me. Some other people were like, "Is Kava dead? Is it over?" We even talked about it with Lewis. No, I don't think Kava's dead. You still have that 750 mil liquidity incentive of Kava tokens that got to be distributed somewhere, man. It doesn't just die like that. I mean, yeah, sure, you do have the buy the rumor, sell the fact type of thing. But that money's got to go somewhere, and there's nothing to do on the Kava chain. Like, I mean, not nothing to do, but like, there's not a lot over there. You have Equilibre, you have Mare, and then there's a couple of other protocols that are coming out. There's one called like Torreus Finance, and then there's going to be another lending protocol that's going to be airdropping anyone who used Equilibre. So using these protocols early, you're starting to get rewarded. Same thing on Equilibre. They're going to be airdropping users who lock a certain amount of tokens. Like if I think it's 165 tokens, you get paid back in a rebate of USDC depending on the wallet you put in. So right now the current rates, the price kind of juiced. It's up like 23% right now. But when it was at 12 cents, basically buying and locking 165, and based on the amount of USDC they distributed to users, basically for the 165 Vara, what is that? 165 times 0.2 is $33, and they were paying out like, and it was like 18 USDC. So basically, you get your 60% of your initial investment back, and then you still have some locked tokens just for kicks. You earn bribes, have some fun, da 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 da, and they don't have to compete with Uniswap V3. And you're also going to get liquidity incentives coming. There's just money sloshing around. That's all I can say. It's like, don't fight the Fed. The Fed's Kava. That's all I can say. There's nothing else to say.
When did the foundation decide to do this? Like when did that initiative of 750 mil decided to be rolled out? It wasn't this year, was it?
Kava liquidity
I believe I saw something 2022, maybe this time last year.
Okay, so here it is. 750 mil incentive program ensures, this is January 4th.
This year.
This is given out to developers. January 4th, 2023.
750?
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. That's awesome. And yes,
it says $750 million incentive fund. Maybe it's not in the Kava token. Where did I read that then? Go ahead. I'm gonna read it now, and I'll be able to say.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I was using both Equilibre and Mare during that run up, and I was trying to sell my Mare, but I decided to stake it. And obviously, being a degen that I am, I didn't see the fine print. The fine print said it was going to be unlocking in 7 to 8 days, and so I watched as my staked tokens, my whole stack, go and dwindle 50%. So it was a sad day when I was actually claiming it, and then I switched it back to USDC, and luckily USDC is all repegged and all good, so I bridged off.
That's how it rolls, baby.
Yeah, that's it. You gotta try. You gotta try. If it worked out, it would have worked out, but obviously this time it didn't. I took an L, and that's okay. I learned. I gotta read the fine print.
That's how it rolls, man. That's how it rolls. Yeah, we always get that. Either way, it looks like when they announced this, the Kava price was 85 cents at the time. So either way, it's still $750 million. So it doesn't even matter. It's the same amount.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually say. Like I'm trying to find the details. I'll be able to find it off the recording, but it's don't fight the Fed. 750 mil. Even if it's like 750 mil at the time of the announcement, if Kava goes down 50%, and let's say it just cut that in half, just call it 375 mil. The
Mhm.
total liquidity on the chain is 240 mil. It's more than what's on the chain. It's different than something like AVAX or like Polygon. I can't even remember Polygon's incentive. Polygon's incentive was only like, I don't know, it's like 250 mil.
Yeah.
And they stinking had at the peak like $7 billion in liquidity on that chain. Avalanche, I think they did $1 billion in liquidity incentives, and at their peak it was like $6 billion, or I don't know, some crazy number. Let me see. Avalanche at its peak was, oh, I'm sorry, 12 billion. Whoops. I missed another 6 billion. But yeah, that's a lot, dude. And stinking on Kava, we have 750 mil and there's 240 mil on chain. Something doesn't add
Yeah.
up. Like something's not
Yeah.
matching.
Exactly. Yeah. But also, yeah, that the reason why I got off of I got off of AVAX and got onto FTM is because FTM also did an incentive program. And I think it was
Yeah,
around 300 million as well.
I remember
Um,
Phantoms. They
yeah,
cut
and
it
I
though. They stopped it. Like some people say they rugged the developers. It was all kinds of garbage. It's much better now though.
yeah, and going back to Phantom after taking that little because I did sell um December of 2021, basically, reading the charts and all that, I sold everything, right? And I took a break from DeFi. I took a break from just crypto in general, just to kind of be on the sidelines and just wait patiently. Obviously, I'm a degen at heart. I got back into NFTs, lost a big chunk of money over and over again,
Go. Let's
and uh,
go.
and that's my story, right? Like I got into Ragnarok, right, and
And that's why I
that,
recruited you.
and it just I thought that I was going to try to swindle the NFT market without fully, researching projects. I heard big news about Ragnarok, and let me go on a little tangent here with Ragnarok.
Dude, I bought
Ragnar,
one of those too.
you did?
I wrote it
Oh,
from mint of
oh,
7.77 ETH to like it was like 3, and I wrote it to like nothing now. They called it like 77 bit or something dumb, and I'm like
yes.
still hold my Ronin. It's
You
not even a Ronin anymore. It's
no.
called trash now. That's all.
So looking back and forth, so like I'm not sure you were following that the whole news,
No,
right?
dude, I'm not following any of it. I'm like,
Okay.
I got an illiquid JPEG and I'm happy about it.
I can't believe
I'm
you got
not
into
really.
mint. That's actually impressive. You got into the mint.
I did. I wasted like 10 or point 0.1 ETH in gas. I was like, yes,
Oh.
this is
So
good.
a little background with Ragnarok. It's an NFT collection that was supposed to be the next big NFT collection that was going to enter the metaverse. Right? We were supposed to play. You can play your NFT. You can play these different characters. That was supposed to be like it looked amazing. They had this demo that looked incredible. Right? I loved it. I did awesome music. The colors were really vibrant. So I bought secondary because I couldn't make the mint. The mint only lasted about 2 minutes until it was all sold out. And funny, I didn't know you bought into the mint. That's really funny. And now you bought the collection. So let's just
Yeah,
rehash this.
it's funny for you. It's funny for you. I'm
It's funny for
kidding.
me
I'm
because I
kidding.
lost cash and it
Yeah,
wasn't good.
it's under the water, man. I laugh at it now. It's
So
fine.
the thing that I trusted with this whole NFT, was the founder. The founder basically was up there at Ava. I think he was at in Lisbon, and he was making kind of like a presentation about his project, and it looked professional. It looked great. It looked promising because he was promising this is going to be what was happening, and he did a little demo with the game itself, and again the demo like swindled everyone, right? And what ended up happening was that they had a whole, apparently, I'm going to say this in air quotes, they had a giant team, a dev team that was going to be able to handle this type of game, development. And so, long story short, it went all the way up to 3 ETH, and then they just, they mishandled the treasury money. They mishandled a lot of things. They promised a lot of things, and the guy, I don't even think it's worth mentioning his name, but the founder was just on AMAs and saying, "Hey guys, we're gonna roll, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It's gonna be awesome. We're gonna have the rag token, this and that." They met zero milestones. And that was really alarming to me. So literally I held for about 2 months. I rode the wave up to 3 and I rode it down to like maybe like 1.5 and I skipped. I skipped town. I was like, I'm out of here. I got to sell
It
everything.
went to 1.5.
Well, it went down. It went down to that. So
Oh
on this
man,
on the
I should have sold.
yeah, I mean once I don't know, I was just money management. I was just like I got to get out of here. So and then I'm lucky that I did because I had actually had originally had 6 of these. I bought off secondary.
Oh,
Um
I have
yeah.
one. Dude, I don't do it. I don't like NFTs, dude. Well, what happened
Yeah.
to Pudgy Rogs? Those things are down to 0.41.
Yeah, yeah. It's
No.
the market's taken a big turn here, and I think people
No,
are
remember those lens profile protocol or protocol profiles I was talking about?
lens. Yeah,
Dude, I remember minting this at zero point zero 0.01 ETH. That's 0.138 ETH. Or not minting it, but buying it.
oh
It was a
wow. So
long
you
time ago.
you 13x'd?
Dude, it did good. I got to sell it.
It's,
I told you I should have sold that Moon Bear one. I was thinking Moon Bear one, my ordinal. I think I told Bear or yeah, this one I bought off, or I was talking with you guys or talking to you about this. I think it was offline. Um, I don't even remember what this is called. I gotta find it. But yeah, I minted that and it was like 0.25 ETH, and now it's like 0.03.
it's just a rocky road. NFTs are crazy, and that's why I'm gonna take a break from it. And all I'm doing now is just literally hold the historic ones, right? This my CryptoPunk V1. I can't. I want to see this thing just pop off. I'm praying and I'm hoping, and I'm holding my a couple of my Vals, my Valhallas. So, and that's where I'm at
Yeah,
with
I'm just gonna
NFTs.
bag hold everything to zero and just accept the NFTs are not my game. The only successful one that actually worked for me was O'Peppins. That one actually
Mm,
worked out. I was
that's right.
actually able to make a quick buy and a quick sell, and I still hold some of them. I should have sold more of them, but I was actually a profitable trade, whereas every single other NFT collection turned out horrible. Unless it's actually the crypto potato. That one did okay. Well, wait, let me check first. Yeah, 2.49 ETH. I bought this at 1.51. And because like 9gag, man, that guy is a smooth talker. If you
Mm-hmm.
haven't listened to any of his AMAs, man, that guy can
No,
talk. He's
he's a
good.
G.
He's
He's good.
smart. You've listened to him?
Yeah, yeah. I listened to one that was about like a few months ago, and I don't know, he's solid. There's some people that in this space, the crypto Web3 space, that if they know how to talk, they can swindle a lot of
Dude,
folks.
Do Kwon.
Take my money. Take my
Do
money.
Kwon. Do Kwon could do it, man. Well, two other topics I want to talk about before we close.
Hmm.
CFX and Stacks. So we'll go
Hmm.
quick on Stacks. So everyone already knows about that Stacks Bitcoin DeFi, and it looked like I shared this in the Discord as well. Point 0.9 was what I was looking at the bottom. I think it went to like 0.85 at one point, and it's
For
still
Alex? For Alex?
for Stacks.
For Stacks?
Um,
Oh, I'm
point
sorry.
point eight
Yes.
five. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's the price I was looking at. I was looking at 0.85, or I'm sorry, point 0.9, and it looks like the lowest it went was like point. Actually, it was like 0.87. I was just going based on what happened back in March, looking at that as a support. Either we break out and continue up, or we break. And also, that was my little 200 moving average point I looked at. The 200-day moving average was 0.85 on the 4 hour. But either we break out and continue up, or we consolidate, or even just break down and lose support here, and maybe find some support around 57, 60 cents. Will be interesting to see what happens on it. But I'm still bullish long term on Stacks, and Deco and Alex are those two plays that I like over there. And for CFX, I don't know if I talked to you about this one, um, but I've liked CFX as like the China narrative. It's a
Hmm.
DAG, and it has two chains similar to Phantom. Phantom also has two chains. It's got the EVM as well as the regular Phantom chain. But CFX, its regular chain, is considered. It's basically like China Instagram. They partnered with them. Now for the EVM chain, you can kind of look at it like Ethereum DeFi, but for China. So like China, when they open up, the narrative is, hey, look, this is going to be their token that they buy. This is going to be their ETH over in China. That's kind of the bullish narrative on it. There are a couple things you can play on there. You got Swappy, DJing coin, yield farming. It's got Curve, VE, tokenomics. Then you also got Golido. You can lend out some stable coins and lend out some CFX and some ETH and Bitcoin. You can earn a yield on that and get paid to loop. Then you also have one other one is actually there's two other ones. There's ABC. ABC is basically just like a LSD for CFX, and then you have another one, Nucleon Governance Token, short for nut. The token is just nut. They kind of memed it up, like, hey, stake your nuts here. How many nuts are you accumulating? But it's interesting.
It sounds
yeah.
like a rug.
No, it's actually they're well, for the most part, at least so far, they're legit. But who knows? Maybe they'll rug eventually. Who knows what we thought? But they got some pretty good farms over there. No, they aren't too bad.
Yeah, that's so. What I wanted to talk about really quick was just the. Did you hear about the MetaMask potential snapshot that's coming up?
No, but I've been hearing that for 4 years or 3 years now, and I'm like, it's never gonna happen. It's like RV airdrop. Maybe MetaMask will top it all and be like, this is gonna be a multi-million-dollar airdrop because we're only airdropping to 3 users.
So let me read to you an insider info. All right, let's get this back up here on the headlines. So word on the street is that MetaMask is going to take a snapshot of users' transactions on 31st of March 2023 for their upcoming drop Mask as their token, scheduled to go live Q1 of 2024. That's a long time right from now. But, if they take a snapshot now, okay, great. I mean, I'm in. The criteria is 4 transactions with trading volume of at least $1,000.
Does it matter which chain?
It doesn't matter which chain. I mean, I think you also need to do bridging as well. So trading between wallets don't count. You have to swap or bridge in MetaMask, not any other.
You got to use
service.
the MetaMask browser, like inside MetaMask, like not just use a dApp and use a MetaMask.
You're saying so? There's a bridging function within MetaMask. I didn't know.
I don't know. I don't know about a bridging function, but there's a swapping function within MetaMask.
Oh yeah, I've done that. Yeah, many times. It's great.
Yeah, I don't use it at all. I'm cheap.
Yeah, I gotta start paying attention to how much I'm spending for slippage and gas and all that. I don't really do that, which is not good.
Yeah, I was eating out with my parents after church, and we went out to, what was it? It was like First Watch. It was a restaurant, and I'm sitting there looking at the menu, and like I'm the type of guy who just sits there and is like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna eat anything. It's like $12 for a stinking pancake, but yet I'll just ape into one of these poop coins and whatever. But it is what it is.
You love what you love, all right, and that's a
Yeah,
Dijon
that's
life.
true. That's true.
But I think it wraps about it, man. Like that's all I have on my plate here, and I think that's a solid episode here. Talked about a lot of things.
That was a fun episode. Oh well, yeah. I guess don't worry about that. We'll keep that on the DL. Airdrop.
Wait. So let me one more thing. What test nets are you using? What main nets are you using for a potential airdrop? Right. Like I can name a few. You can name a few. I'm looking at StarkNet. I'm looking at Lens. I'm looking at Scroll, and I'm also obviously looking at playing around with ZK. Yeah.
I think there's one other one, Argent Wallet. That's part of ZK, but like
That's right.
the Argent Wallet's a horrible experience.
It's not good. It's
No,
not good.
like I had the old one on my phone, and I uploaded to a new phone. And thinking you don't get your private keys, and it won't, like, it's just horrible. Like the old phone, if you don't have the old device, and I did do the transfer properly, and they made an upgrade from like ZK original or something, ZK1 or something dumb to ZK era, they're basically just like depreciating the one of the chains, and it's like, oh yeah, if you got funds on there, you're roasted, or you got to figure it out yourself. And it's like, I don't know, the situation's all messed up. They're like, yeah, just email us, we'll help you. So I sent them an email, and they're like, yeah, we can't help. So I go in the Discord, and then they're like, we'll get back to you. So I don't know. It's a horrible experience, but that's what you get with airdrop farming. Just make sure you don't use a lot. Kind of be careful with that stuff.
Yeah. So one more thing that I just kind of came across my desk here is that I'm looking at the other side, right? This is the Yuga Labs, kind of like the metaverse play, right? They're trying to like do this metaverse, and they're trying to incorporate, their Bored Apes, Mutant Apes, their kennels, their me bits, and I think some other ones. It looks insane. They recently over the weekend had their second trip to the metaverse. Sorry, second trip to the other side, and it looks insane. If you take a look and go to their the other side meta, there's a bunch of videos that are just like floating around, and they've retweeted, and it looks insane. Like, if you are not a fan of Yuga and you think that there's a high barrier to entry to get into this other side game to play it, okay, that's one thing. But I think it's going to be open to all eventually, and I think once this goes full like live, these other side deeds are very interesting at the 1.45 ETH level. Like, this floor price of 1.45
Dude, I
makes
cannot convince myself to buy a monkey picture, but yet I'll buy a potato.
well, I mean, all right, so go to their Twitter, check out these videos. I think if you are a Web3 crypto fan, right, like how we are, inside, I think we're all trying to think, okay, there hasn't been a game that's actually been super successful that's built on top of, decentralized, like blockchain, right? The idea here is that you're going to be secretly rooting for these guys. You're rooting for these guys to actually do it correctly. And if they do it correctly, as they done with Dookie Dash and all that, and how that was very lucrative for the
NFTs,
people.
only in NFTs.
Right. He's exactly right. It's like,
Dash.
yeah, and like, how do you make how did this gamer, this Fortnite
Do you know what
professional?
Dookie is?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I was just making sure.
Yes, I do know what that is. But I'm rooting for these guys. Like me, the rest of crypto, the rest of Web3 are looking for this metaverse to actually come true, and to have this game that is going to be just ridiculous. It looks insane. The colors look amazing. I don't know what to say. I'm actually like looking at these videos. There's like 7 of them that's on the Twitter page. It makes me a believer. It makes me a believer, right? Despite all their FUD, despite all of their accusations over the past like year, um, but wow, it looks incredible. So obviously, if you are a fan of crypto, you should be a fan of this and root for these guys, because if they do it right, they're going to onboard so many people in this space, and people can be able to make money, right? And is that bullish on ape coins and ape tokens? Potentially, right? Because that's going to be the token of choice to transact, to earn as you're kind of, farming on your land or whatever it is. I don't know, dude. I actually might think about scooping up a land, just at these prices. I mean, I'm sure they're going to go down because they had a little slight pump up based on what they've seen. People had confidence, but I don't know. This is a really interesting play. I don't think anyone should be fading this at all. I mean, if you look at the numbers for their actual the land deeds, there's 100,000 land deeds out there. But the last night, right? Based on last night, I didn't look at today, but last night they only had, out of that 100,000, on listed on OpenSea is like 1,800. Like, there's less than 2 or 3% that are listed.
Jeez.
So
Well, my potatoes My potato is only 0.5% is listed.
0.5%?
Potato. A potato flew around. You remember?
Bullish, dude. Bullish.
Bullish. I'm gonna call up 9gag and tell him, man. I'm gonna
Just say
tell
one word.
him.
Just saying one word. Just bullish.
Bullish.
But yeah, that wraps up our episode here. And I really don't know if there's anything else to talk about at this point. But I'm very, very excited about what's going on. And the past 2 days have been, I don't know, just it feels like every single time we're getting together and talking, it feels like there's 3 months worth of information and topics and ideas all just rolled into like 2-3 days.
Yeah, dude, I'm agreeing with you that 100%. Like I didn't expect there to be this much to talk about, but there is.
But there is one more thing to talk about, and that's your one-liner. So hit him with
Wisdom one-liner, baby. I had it pulled up. Oh snap! I lost the tab. What? My potatoes took it over. Proverbs, Proverbs chapter 11, verses 13. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy person keeps a secret. Don't gossip, man.
Not worth
That's
it.
it.
Just say it to their face.
Mic drop. That's how it rolls.
All right. All right. Have a good one, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, guys. See ya.